It's working.
Is it working?
I think so. Let's see. Let me refresh the page here. Make sure we're good. Yeah. Who knows? We're going to record. We're going live here. All right. So before we had the technical difficulties, Alex, I was talking a little bit about some of the stuff that you're doing in Brazil, right? Mm-hmm. And as we were kind of touching on that, you had mentioned that you were working on some stuff there in Brazil to help people get retrained. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Andrew. No, I was actually going back a little bit with my journey with Ultrix, right? And how I like so much how the community works, with Ultrix. Like the Ultrix community has been really helpful, not only for me, but I'm sure that for thousands of people. And I like that, and that's why I wanted to get into programs that I could, somehow share what I learned from the community, or even what I learned working with Alteryx with other people here in Brazil. Because in Brazil we do have a customer base, but a lot of people still don't know how Alteryx works or what Alteryx does, right? And how Alteryx can be powerful in your data journey. And even like with with the tool itself, maybe they need they want to understand more about data, right? And they want to actually use Alteryx to see the power of the data they're analyzing. So turns out that I actually got together with other people from other platforms and other IT related fields. And we founded a project called, in English, would be called Learning from Teaching, something like that, right? In Portuguese, I can say it's Ensinar Aprendendo. We actually have a page, LinkedIn page about this project with some videos of people that are in this project talking about the project a little bit. But basically, how this project works is we set up a group of people who were trying to get a job with data, or even not just with data, but other areas of IT. And we would give them classes for free, right? So we would teach not just technologies, but we would teach concepts of IT, or of data analytics, of data science to them, so we could help them learn more and prepare themselves a little better for interviews, and even use like some of the certificates that we handed them to actually show people, show actually the companies that they have some kind of knowledge, right? So it was very nice. It was very nice experience for me. I really enjoyed doing that, and I like these kinds of actions from the community. That especially because like here in Brazil, we with COVID, a lot of people actually lost their jobs. And I think any of those engagements that can help people get back on track, and um, have something that they can work on, and help them in that way. I really like being part of that, and see that I can make a difference in the community here.
Yeah, and are the people that are kind of coming to this, do they even have a background in Alteryx at all, or data at all?
No, no. Most of them, they didn't know. Most of them, they actually wanted to switch, switch a little bit what they worked on, and they wanted to get a job on that area, right? So it was basically people from a lot of different fields that they were interested on getting a job with something with data or even with IT or something related. So we it was interesting because we actually got a lot of other people from different fields to teach about different topics. So I think it was a very good experience for those people to learn and even to understand what they were actually wanted um, to know more about or to even work with, right?
Yeah.
Because like think about even like when we get out of college, we're kind of lost, like what do I want to do, what do I want to work with, and there's so much information on the internet, or so many opportunities that we can get into. And I think it was a good opportunity to show them, like you can trail maybe a data science path, or maybe you want to do infrastructure, right? Or you do want to do UX design, right? And all of those areas, they have opportunities in Brazil or in the US or in any other country. Any technology related areas, I think, are very hot right now in the market, right? So
Hmm.
it was,
Yeah. Even like SQL, you had mentioned like SQL being one of the skills that
yeah,
they were teaching, right?
yes,
It's really
that's
cool.
right. SQL and not only database concepts, but also how to even write queries or understand read queries and apply them in other platforms. So the good thing was about that. It was not just technologies, but also concepts of our day-to-day activities, right?
Yeah. And I think that's important to understand, because if we're talking about analytics process automation as a whole, right, you really need some of those skills to kind of help further your career or even get it started to differentiate yourself. And I think when we're talking about that, that's where the Spark ED program really shines in terms of helping to get people started, right? So if we're looking at that program, this was something that was birthed almost out of generosity and necessity, I would say, as we're kind of looking at this, right? From the Ultrix community, where what they were doing is essentially asking everyone, hey, how is it that we can help with everything that's going on with the pandemic? So you can see my screen here. I mean, if you're looking for some information on Spark PD, I'll post it here in the chat so everyone can kind of see it, right? And when we're looking at Spark ED, something that's exciting about this is you can see it's not just about educators and students, right? It's even for people who are going through career changes. And as we all know, like in the community, there's obviously the self-paced learning. There's a community where you can message your peers and work on free certifications for core and advanced. But there's a couple pieces that people may not be as familiar with, which are free software licenses, right? And then also a job board. So when we're kind of talking about these, I'll touch on these a little later, but it's really impressive just kind of what they have to offer. And when we're looking at these resources, you've got everything from blog posts, which are a few minutes, right, to, again, getting connected, the learning program, right, which puts you through a level of training that will allow you to get the certifications. And then finally, once you have those, obviously there's some jobs, even including here at Data Meaning, that are available to you to kind of understand and take those skills to the next level. So when we talk about these, right, are there networking opportunities? Of course, right? There's networking opportunities on the community. And when we look at these, right, um, this will kind of help you highlight your skills, and then all the badges related to certifications run through Credly. So you may see some of your friends kind of posting those, or even data meaners, right, that are posting their certifications as they work through core, advanced, and then in our case, even some of the partner certifications. And then when we talk about these free licenses, right, and we look at the free licenses related to education, it's a pretty straightforward setup. You've got 90 days here. And then when we kind of talk about these, some of the licenses, depending on what you're doing, can even extend up to the course of a year. So it's really impressive what they're offering in terms of helping. And when we look at these, right, it will give you a cross section of what you can do to create a portfolio in addition to just getting your certifications. And I think that's the exciting part today is it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go back and get a new degree, etc., to kind of take your career to the next level. So that's really awesome. And then kind of as we're talking about that and diving into new pieces there, right? When we talk about free licenses, Dallas, you've got some experience with that with some of the stuff that you did there in Brazil, right? Do you want to share?
Yeah,
with
sure.
everyone how you go about doing that?
Yeah, I wanted to. You actually went through a little bit, but I just wanted to show like as a student how you can get a license. Because a lot of people say, okay, Alteryx is a bit expensive, right? And maybe the trial period is not enough for me to get to know more about the tool. So let me see if I can share my screen here and show like just where you can apply to get a license. Maybe that can be helpful for most of the people. Um, Let me see here. Okay, so are you seeing my screen, Andrew?
There you go.
Just to confirm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like Andrew said, there's in this Spark AD program page, there's a part where you can hit students here, and when you click on free education license, you're gonna see there's actually a platform called Share ID that will verify your student status. But it's pretty simple. You just have to actually fill out some personal information here. And most likely they're going to require your university email address because they want to confirm if this address actually belongs to an institution, right? To an educational institution. And I think you also have to justify, like the plan of use, but it doesn't actually need to be related with IT or if anything in the specific. It could be like for any area actually. It could be even from law to medical to whatever you need. You can actually have a degree on, I don't know, in biology, and you might need to use Alteryx and other platforms to understand the data around that, right? So Alteryx gives you the opportunity to work with that, and you after you do that, they might need to send you an email just to confirm or anything like that, or they might require maybe a screenshot of any of your student information. You can easily get that if you're currently enrolled in any educational program. You can just go to your educational page or whatever and grab a screenshot saying, okay, I am currently enrolled in this program and on this date. And if you send them, they actually reply really quick. It's like if you're doing that during business hours, they would probably get back to you in question of minutes. That's my experience at least, but it should be pretty easy. So if you're a student of any kind, if you're doing even an MBA, I was enrolled in an MBA and I was able to get a student license. It was actually pretty useful for me because even though I'm an ACE, I do have an ACE license as well. But as I have another computer here at home, I was able to actually do things related to my MBA paper in Ultrix, and I use that license. So I think that's actually, like the goal of the program, to help you with any kind of work that you have in your student program. Okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add, Andrew?
Yeah, I think it's really incredible. And I mean, you have people like Alberto kind of asking about this, and this is actually something that I want to do from data meeting here in Q1. So actually, if you're interested in it, it would be great to kind of show our leaders how many people would be interested in a free certification kind of program to put people through. What I was thinking we could do is free LinkedIn Live sessions, a series of them to help individuals get course certified and just kind of talk through some different tips and tricks, studying, maybe go through a couple trainings, right? And then kind of open it up for Q&A for individuals who are really looking to kind of ramp up for that. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, please kind of post in the chat, because I would love to do that. And it's really something we just gotta ask for permission for so we can do it. Obviously during work hours, so everybody's kind of available, and then maybe we even do a couple sessions after hours, kind of help people really get their cram on, and then get those certifications while the job market's really hot at the beginning of the year. And as we're kind of talking about that, from that perspective, Fernando, I know there's quite a bit in regards to getting certified, right? And maybe going through the educational experience. But as we kind of talk about this, right, there's other aspects in regards to building your portfolio. And what I would say about that is a portion of the Alteryx for Good program relates to the AFG collab. Do you want to share a little bit about the collab and how you can get involved with some of that?
Sure. Let me just share my screen here. So the idea for the Alteryx for Good is actually, let's say, for example, for myself, my own experience, I'm really into NGOs. I used to work with kids, building houses here in Brazil. Uh, but one thing that I actually learned by working with kids is that I'm not very good with kids. So one thing that I would like to do is actually use my own personal skills or my work skills. And I think for most of the technical guys, it's basically the same. We really enjoy helping others, but it needs to be with our work skills. It's always better for us to code something than to interact with people. So not sure if it's all the same for everyone there, but for me it's actually better to code instead of uh, working with people. uh, but the idea for the Alteryx for Good actually is that, of course, you can get from Spark uh, a license, an Alteryx license, and of course you have a lot of different trainings there. You can work and learn by yourself. But let's say you have an NGO that you, for example, would like to help. You can get in touch with that NGO and you can get a volunteer. For example, us here, we are all volunteers in Alteryx for Good. So basically, the idea, everyone seen my screen already?
There we go.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple process here. So the first step, of course, you have the AFG collab, and if you are if you are looking for help, of course, you can go here and find a volunteer. You have a lot of Alteryx users trying to help others. It was a lot. It's a lot of users, a lot of specialists, but also here. So it's find a volunteer. You can introduce yourself, talk about your project. We can scope your project, and then we can work on that, right? And from the volunteer standpoint, you can also become a volunteer. Of course, here my personal login information, but you can click here and you can register becoming a volunteer. And here, actually, you can see Andrew Keen. I'm not sure how to say that. Is that correct to say poster boy? Is a poster
Poster
boy?
boy, yeah,
Yeah.
poster child.
For the for the program. So if you want to become a volunteer, you have a
Yeah.
few rules here, 6 months of Alteryx experience. But the whole idea is that you can get help from Andrew King. Uh, from data mining, from those who work in data mining, you know that's really hard for us to get help from AK. So if you want help from him here,
This is young Andrew, right? This is
That
young
is,
Andrew. Well,
that
how old
is.
were you in that picture, Andrew?
Oh man, it must be the consulting years, or maybe the new baby kind of wearing on me. That's only like, I think it's a 4-year-old picture. 4 years old.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So if you want to get help from AK or from myself or for anyone else from the community, you can come here and actually have in Brazil also Alteryx for Good is not well known here, sadly. But if you have an NGO here in Brazil and you would like them to get Alteryx, I think Alteryx for Good is really looking for new companies, especially outside of US. In US, they are really working with companies, but for example, in Brazil, uh, if I'm not mistaken, there isn't one. So if have one there, you can.
Actually, actually, I know some of nonprofit organizations that actually applied for Ultrix for Good. But I do know there are some requirements that you need to meet to get the licenses and for people to understand better the project. But yeah, but I also agree with you that this needs to be promoted a little better here in Brazil because we do have so many opportunities to make such impacting projects with Alteryx for nonprofit organizations or for even for educational purposes. I do agree with you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, if anyone there needs help with Alteryx, I'm here to help. I'm only waiting for the opportunity of becoming a more a better
Fernando,
volunteer. Actually,
Fernando, what I think you're saying is you want my poster boy shot, right? They need to keep a
yeah,
young,
yeah,
they need to
yeah.
keep a
I want to
young
be
face
there.
on there.
Yeah, I want to be there. I want to be there.
Yeah.
I really like
Uh,
that.
it's really exciting. I mean, I think when we talk about December, right, a lot of us start thinking about how we can give back, and just sharing and actually showing that we care, right? And I think this is a different way of going about doing it. Um, as it can even be doing development work, right? You saw Aaron kind of post in there in the chat. I'll go back up to them to that request that he had where he was saying his first experience with Ultrix for Good was actually a physical event where we went to give kids a world. And I know that there's user groups all across the U.S., Dallas. There's some up in Michigan. Um, the Four Corners, DC area, I mean, all throughout the US where they're regularly doing volunteering. And we can kind of talk about some of those different use cases here in a sec where there's some incredible use cases where there's apps shared on the Ultrix public gallery, as well as even some excellence awards that have been kind of submitted for to kind of showcase some of these usage components. And as we look at this, I mean, again, don't hesitate to reach out. I think to any of the three of us, we'd be happy to help you even go through the form submission process and then get some of those free licenses. And honestly, that's like the biggest hurdle if you're an NGO. Once you have the licenses, I mean, you have an entire army of people who's looking to help you get value, and literally you're talking about free value there. So if you're, I want to circle back around to if you are just kind of a user of Alteryx, right? And you're looking to kind of ramp up those skills. We talked a little bit about the job board, so I want to circle back around to that here for a second, because I think that's really important for everybody to know. So I'll post this here in the chat related to the job board here. But literally, we have jobs posted here, you can see both in the US and in Brazil that we have job postings that are kind of listed there. So if you want to check that out, feel free to take a look, right? And when we look at these job boards, you can see, I mean, really big companies, Chick-fil-A, you've got partners across the board like Aimpoint, Data Meaning here. You've got Dallas Fort Worth with federal credit unions, right? Honeywell here, healthcare with Signify Health. You've got Honeywell. It's just kind of across the board. Southwest Airlines, right? So there's no shortage of jobs here. So if you're looking for an incredible career change going into next year, there's opportunities that exist here, even within the Ultrix community. So I definitely recommend kind of taking a look at these. And if you're looking at how can you get this started, maybe in your alma mater, you're looking to give back locally, like I am here at UCF. There's Sparked in a Box, right? Which literally has some community outreach tools here. And what this allows you to do is you can see it has guidelines, email templates, PowerPoint presentations, demos, and then you've got step-by-step processes to help get you started, right? So when we're looking at this, there's a bunch of extra documents here, and you're talking about eligibility. So here's literally the list to kind of get started. And again, I'll throw that here in the chat so you guys can take a look at that. And as we look at this, right, it's really just going to go to the next level this year. So I really want to make sure that everyone's kind of taking advantage of some of that information and kind of taking that to the next level. And if you're interested in applying specifically for our position, right, because you're here watching us, there's a link there in the chat. So that'll give you some opportunities to kind of apply for that as well. So you can take a look in relation to that. So yeah, and then Neil's mentioning like interns and mentors, right? So you can find some of those individuals here. And again, if you reach out to us, we're happy to do that. A lot of ACEs have mentees that they're working with. So we would love to just kind of see more of that going on in the community so we can cultivate the future users and careers in analytics. Awesome. And then as we kind of discuss this, right, I think the other piece is kind of showcasing the work that's being done and sharing. So as we kind of explore this, right, we mentioned Alteryx use cases. So if you want to take a look at use cases in general, there's some holistically that exist here. And then if you start to scroll down, right, you'll see some that have Alteryx listed on them. And then like this is an example of one that's specific to Alteryx for Good. So like in some instances, these individuals will be so excited that they were able to take care of the work that they were trying to do as an NGO or even as like a university, right? And working on these projects that they'll say, hey, I want to share everything that I was able to accomplish using this platform. And this is just one of the examples of a way that they were able to go about and do that. And I've actually helped a number of universities specifically. I feel like personally that's who I get most in touch with. Maybe it's because I have a lot of experience with survey data. But as we kind of talk about this, right, they've been the most excited about kind of working on this program. And you can see it's not simple use cases. They're even getting into some predictive work here with logistic regressions, etc. So that kind of helps expand some of this usage. So it really just kind of takes things to the next level, and literally you can see they're even posting a workflow here. So really exciting stuff. Yeah. So as we kind of work through some of this, I know there's a lot of kind of announcements that need to be shared in terms of people getting involved and ramping up the new year. And if you're looking at kind of expanding your career or even expanding what you're doing, in the Ultrix sphere. Dallas, you had mentioned, you brought up the user group a little bit. Do you want to talk about that? Is that coming up here soon for your user group?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sure. So yeah, I actually would like to invite everyone, if you're not aware of how user groups work, right? Alteryx has user groups of all kinds, right? Not only locally based user groups, like for example, the one that I lead is the Brazilian one, the São Paulo user group, actually, which became the Brazilian one because it's virtual now, right? But the user groups I actually divided mostly in cities, right? So depending on where you live, by you probably can see user group close to you. But there are also user groups about industries in specific, right? Like financial user groups. I know that there are a public sector user group, right, Andrew? So there are user groups of all kinds in Alteryx, and we have usually we have quarterly meetings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're hosting our São Paulo / Brazil user group next Monday, and we're gonna have a lot of nice content there. We're actually gonna have a presentation in English, like I mentioned, with Alex. Last quarter we had with Joshua. He presented his book, Joshua Burkwell. He was an ace, but now he actually works for Ultrix. He was hired by Ultrix, and he presented his Ultrix book and also some tips about how to become an advanced user. So, like, even for you that you're beginning your journey with Ultrix, it's really nice to learn from someone who can talk about that, right? Who can talk about your journey and say, how you might want to focus to get to an advanced level, right? And how you know where you're at an advanced level, right? And this time we're having Alex. He's gonna explain a little bit about how to trigger Alteryx workflow using NFC technology.
Nice.
So it's a really out of the for me it's really an outside of the box presentation, right? Because it's not one of those regular use cases that we have with Alteryx. It's something that um, he he probably came up with the solution, but he thought of Alteryx. He thought of using Alteryx, but I would never have thought of using Alteryx that way. So it's really interesting. I learn a lot from those people who actually explore more areas of the platform. We're actually also gonna have, like, for in Portuguese for the Brazilian crew. We're gonna have Carlos Teixeira, who is also an ace, to talk about canceling workflows in server using some automation. So he's not gonna actually talk about the Ultrix server API itself. He's gonna show some other way that he does interacting with the server
Mm.
to automate the you know the job canceling. So
Nice.
it will be really interesting. It's something that it's probably, like I said, when I posted my LinkedIn page, I posted in Portuguese, but I said the content that we present in the Brazilian user group is unique. Like, it's something that is probably not even people from around the world have available. So that's why I invite everyone that um, is based in Brazil, or if it's not even based in Brazil, if you want to see Alex's presentation in English, you can also um, subscribe to our user group page and register for the event.
Yeah.
And at the end, like I said, we're gonna have a very fun activity, and we're gonna engage people with Christmas. So
Nice.
yeah, so we're gonna do something Christmas related with Ultrix, to get everyone in the Christmas mood, because we're almost 2 weeks from Christmas now, right?
Yeah,
So,
have they posted the Santalytics yet this year? I haven't seen
uh,
anything posted.
I don't think they have done that yet. I think it's really close. They do that really close to Christmas, like a few days before, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Santalytics, it's actually pretty fun too, right? It's an activity with um it's basically a challenge, right? An Ultrix challenge with Christmas. But that's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something really different. So that's what I'm saying. It's not even based on Santalytics or anything like that. It's
Nice.
really something different. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, just stick up with it, and we're gonna have an activity with everyone, which is also something that we really cultivate in our user group. Those activities that we actually interact with the audience, with the public, and we can even. I'm not promising anything because I'm not 100% sure, but we're probably gonna have some gifts in this activity, right? So
Is it bags
uh,
of coal or is it like stuff that like candies and
no,
stuff that will actually
it's
enjoy?
it's all trick stuff, right? So
That's all trick.
but I'm not
Ooh.
gonna promise 100% anything. But
Hey,
we're probably gonna have.
you
Yeah.
opened it up to the whole world, man. I hope your credit card's ready for some shipping charges here.
Well, yeah, I have to. Yeah, if Flavia sees that, she's gonna kill me then. Yeah, Flavia
That's
is our
awesome.
user group coordinator.
Yeah.
She actually now is in charge for many
All
other
the
user groups. Yeah,
yeah.
I think all of them, right? So
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
100%.
actually, we're having this Thursday is going to be a joint in-person user group. So when we talk about the world, I see some of it starting to go back to normal, right? So we're having an in-person user group this Thursday here in Orlando between Tableau and Ultrix. So just kind of be on the lookout, right? As we're talking about networking, some of those things are going to start expanding. And I mean, just like that for next year. So if you haven't checked it out already, Inspire's already been announced for next year. That's going to be in May this year. So they're kind of pulling it back a little bit earlier than as opposed to early June. And then if you haven't already, Inspire sessions, submitting your Inspire session if you want to speak, that's by December 15th. Which is getting really close. But if you've got some time this weekend and want to put together an idea, you can throw in a submission there. And then if you're like, no, I just want to hear cool people speak, right? Maybe you can come and hang out with us during Inspire, or if you're joining us virtually here, right, and you can't make it to Inspire, we are accepting submissions and stuff for things that we'll be talking about next year in regards to ACE Fireside Chat. And we'll also be having some guest ACEs as well. So as we kind of look at this, we'll be doing it once a month still. And we've already got a handful of sessions that we have planned. But we want to see what you guys would like us to talk about. And you can throw that here in the chat. Or we'll actually have some of our marketing team post and put some comments out asking for topics going into next year. So we can kind of collect that information and come back with some cool shares. And then I did want to share, so as if this team wasn't busy enough, we're always excited doing new things. We've got a new show that we're going to be putting out for Tuesdays at the beginning of the year, which will be a weekly show, kind of similar to what you're seeing with 3 charts at 3 p.m. So you're really going to start to see us expand our content going into next year, and just keep everyone excited. So keep an eye out. Make sure you're hitting that like and love button and you're following us, because that really keeps us excited and pumped, right? And invite your friends to follow as well, because as we kind of look into next year, there's some incredible things that we have as we just continue to kind of expand our team and grow as an organization. and all that turns back around to us loving to give back and take things to the next level. All right. Yeah, and then I think as we close out here, this will kind of put you guys on your toes here, and I'll start this one. I want to close this out with us each sharing like one thing that we're thankful for this year, and then kind of talking about just Alteryx for good, right? So discussing what are some things that Ultrix has done that are good in our lives. So for me personally, it's really given me an opportunity here at Data Meaning to build a team and even work with some of my closest friends. And as we kind of talk about this, I'm really excited to see all that the future holds. I had a new son, or my first child that was born this year, David, and getting to see all that we're interacting with global Fortune 500 companies, Global 1000, right? How we're helping to shape the world with analytics is really exciting, because I want to make sure that we do that right for him. That way, by the time he gets to the keyboard, right, the problems that he has are even more exciting. And I'm thankful to have such an awesome team to help kind of do this on a daily basis and share with everyone. So that's what I'm thankful for. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. Yeah, I can. I think this year was for me especially. It was a year of new experiences and a lot of learning. So, like you said, the opportunity that I have every day to work with Ultrix and with such high skilled people and high skilled companies that that do a variety of things, like for people, for the world. So being part of that, even though like maybe it should be like a small thing, like setting up a server or something, but maybe that server is handling, like I cannot say the name of the company, but I helped one of the companies to upgrade their servers, and they were doing things for they were working actively to fight the pandemic, right? So it was a medical pharmaceutical company. So I mean, it's really nice for me to be part of that, even though if it's a small thing or a big thing, dealing with the data for those customers. So I really enjoy doing that. I feel like I feel a little bit important in the world.
Yeah, it's nice to have that purpose, right?
Yeah. It's my turn then. So actually, I'm thankful for Outreach in general. So if it was not for Alteryx, I would not be able to work with you guys. Now I can say, of course, I was working in Brazil for a long period with Alteryx, and I thought I was an Alteryx specialist there. But when I came here, I started working with a lot of different companies, a lot of different users. Now I can say that I'm actually an Alteryx specialist. I've been training a lot of different companies. Luckily, Thales mentioned that he wasn't supposed to name companies, so I'm not going to as well. But I was able to train a lot of different companies that are really I really like those companies, so it's really fun. But also really cool shirts. I really enjoy the DM shirts, so that's one thing that I'm really thankful for. So I have a bunch of them from Alteryx, from Data Meaning, and I don't need to purchase any more t-shirts. So
It's the clothes, right?
yeah.
Whoever thought? I mean, so hopefully you got some Ultrix socks. We need to talk about some Data Meaning socks that need to come out, right? We need some swag on these shows. I think we'll see some of that come out next year as well. So if you guys are interested in some swag, make sure to put that you're excited about that in the chat, so that way our marketing team understands. Is it socks, t-shirts, hats? What are you guys excited to see? Maybe we've got some Data Meaning earmuffs for the winter, right? Since we're all going to Colorado, who knows how cold that's going to feel for everybody, even in the middle of the year. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Dallas and Fernando, as always. It's great conversation, and I'm excited to see what 2022 will hold for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
See everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great end of the year. Happy holidays if I don't see you again.
Happy holidays.